here are headlines. The special relationship. Ahead of his talks at the White House with Donald Trump, Keir Starmer announces a boost in defence spending.
A deal has been agreed by Ukraine that will give the United States access to revenue from the country's extensive mineral resources.
8 years on, the government will give its response to the findings of the Grenfell Tower inquiry later.
The family of 19-year-old soldier Jaisley Beck, who killed herself after being sexually assaulted by a colleague, call for a criminal investigation into what happened.
Lindsay Burrow, wife of rugby league icon Rob Burrow, will tell us about her new book on coping with caring for her husband and raising their family.
And how do you spot a planetary parade? An astronomer will give us his tips on how to see the 7 planets all visible in the night sky this week. We're going to bring you the front pages of today's newspapers now. We're going to start with the Daily Mail. Lots of the papers leading on the announcement that the government is going to increase defence spending by cutting the foreign aid budget. That's our main story here today too. Daily Mail quoting the Prime Minister, who warned that the world was entering an era of hard power ahead of his trip to the United States to meet President Trump tomorrow.
Let's have a look at the Eye, which reports that promise to increase defence spending will put a missile system, new combat ships and drones at the top of the Ministry of Defence's shopping list.
The Times is focusing on proposed expansion plans at Gatwick Airport. It says the Transport Secretary, Heidi Alexander, is expected to approve the plan for a new runway, which would allow an extra 100,000 flights per year.
Talking of flights, the Telegraph leads on a warning that frequent flyers who go on multiple foreign holidays every year could be taxed to help reduce air travel, to try to put us off. The paper quoting the government's climate change coordinator, who says that net zero goals could be met by introducing a levy that charges travellers more every time they fly abroad.
My goodness, this won't cost you any more. Here's a little top tip. You need to drink more tea, John. Do you drink any tea at all?
No, only coffee. But persuade me.
OK, well, here's the deal. Researchers in the United States have found that tea, even just your humble tea bag, takes toxins out of water. So if there's any metals in water, for example, lead, there's not a huge amount of lead in the water in the UK, but it does remove toxins, which is very, very good for you. And a reduction in metallic compounds in drinking water would mean that you have better cardiovascular health, less likely to have a heart attack and less likely to have a stroke. So more tea.
So the bag kind of soaks up the impurities.
But if you like weak tea, it's not so good. You need to leave the bag in for 3 minutes minimum. This doesn't apply to you.
Does it mention coffee?
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't apply.
Doesn't mention coffee.
But if you're having a cup of tea right now, feel a little safer this morning.
An about turn for BP. The energy giant scales back investment in renewable energy and returns its focus to oil and gas. We report on the rise of illegal waste dumping as local councils battle to deal with it. And the sinkholes in Surrey. Now dozens of residents have been told it may be a year before they can go home.